Hi, everyone. Welcome. So cool to see so much good engagement in the chat, and we're so excited to all have you here. Welcome to the TikTok Agency Roundtable. We're joined today with our partners, TSP partners, Orca, Unsociable, and Trndstters. For those of you that are unfamiliar with what a TSP is, a TSP stands for TikTok Shop Partners. These are the agencies that manage merchants and services on TikTok Shop. Today, we're going to explore some real insights and actionable tips that will help you elevate your TikTok marketing in 2024. I'll let the speakers introduce themselves. We can start with you, Tim.
Yeah, hi, I'm Tim Ryan. I'm the Chief Commerce Officer at Orca.
Jake Bajorseth here, founder of Trndstters, just the idiot in charge of a really talented Gen Z TikTok team.
My name is Ben Muir. I'm from the UK, Glasgow, Scotland. We run the top-rated TikTok Shop Partners. I'm the CEO of Unsociable.
Cool, fantastic. Okay, thanks everyone. So to start, why should brands launch on TikTok Shop, and what strategies do you recommend they implement when they're first getting started? I'll start with you, Tim.
Yeah, these are all my opinions, just for the record. So I have a extensive experience in Amazon, and once every decade, an opportunity like this comes around where you have what I would call a third arm to your direct-to-consumer strategy. So most have, direct-to-consumer e-com. Most have Amazon. TikTok Shop looks to me an awful lot like it's going to be the third meaningful arm of a direct-to-consumer business. The second part of the question is around what do they implement first getting started. I think take a really hard look at, do an audit of what you're currently doing. TikTok is a platform driven by content. And so the first place you need to look is how much content you have out there. And I would ultimately also take a look at, because it's so meaningful right now, what are your affiliate efforts and strategies?
Yeah, and I think for us, we're Gen Z agency that's been around forever, and so brands always come to us and ask how to reach these consumers. And if you ask anyone off the street where you're going to reach them, the answer is usually social media. And the difficulty for us, and I think anyone in that space, was always, you can reach them through social media, but are you actually driving any sense of business objective? And is this just clicks and views, or are we actually converting anywhere? And I think what's so great about the TikTok Shop ecosystem is that it's truly a collapsing of the funnel. And so the same place where you can reach, engage, potentially convert with customers, you can do so in one ecosystem. And the acceleration then of that platform is going to make it a lot easier for you to grow into that space, into new markets. And I think bottom line, it is impossibly easier than ever before to reach, engage with, and convert new customers. And TikTok Shop is the embodiment of that.
Yeah, I think Jake put it really well there when he said that when you enter the TikTok Shop ecosystem, and some of you may not know this, I know most audiences in the US, but the UK is actually about a year ahead of the US market. We launched here as a beta for the West. So we've had loads of insights of brands building completely from scratch on TikTok Shop, and then becoming multi-channel brands that are selling on, some of the world's biggest retailers, that are becoming market leaders on Amazon as well, that started on TikTok Shop, because that's how big the opportunity is. And I think Tim made a great point to fully answer Meg's question, as if you're just getting started, affiliates and content is the best place to go.
Those are great insights. And we have some questions in the chat too. So for speakers, feel free to engage in the questions, and we'll make sure that we can get to them at the end as well. High level affiliates and content, just to drive that algorithm, make sure TikTok, you have as many eyes on your brand as you can. Second question is, how do you make sure a brand's TikTok's campaigns align with their broader marketing objectives and messaging to create a cohesive brand experience? This is something we get a lot when brands are first launching on the platform, making sure that their brand experience from the D2C transfers over to what they can expect on TikTok.
Yeah, so I'll take this. I think we need to draw a little bit of a line of delineation between the term marketing efforts and converting, right? Because I think a lot of brands are looking to convert rather than necessarily tell an overarching marketing message or brand story. I think the places that that TikTok is really, really good at is authenticity. And that's where you should spend an awful lot of your strategy and resources. But when it comes to like, the overarching, making a seamless transition between your direct to consumer site and TikTok, I think I would be spending a little bit more time thinking about what's the customer experience, how are we communicating with them in a relevant, unique, and interesting way on TikTok, because it is such a different animal than most of the traditional marketing outlets.
Yeah, I think the focus around brand standards and guidelines is oftentimes overstated. Like if I were to ask everyone in here to define the Coca-Cola brand, we would get literally a different answer from everyone. And by the way, if you disagree with me on that, I interviewed the CMO of Coke 3.5 years ago. He said the exact same thing. And I think he summarized it even better than me, and saying that brand is not some sort of definition. It's an object for interpretation. And it's up to your customers to interpret what that brand means for them. And so in this ecosystem, it should be more subject to the platform, your consumers, and your creators that work with you. You can follow traditional models, but I think what's going to go best for all brands in here is to not worry about that as much as they do building a community in this space.
I think I completely agree with what both the guys have said. Just honing in on that marketing objectives point, I think that it doesn't need to be some siloed channel that sits out with the rest of what you're doing. The impact that you can have from going viral on TikTok is tremendous across all your other marketing objectives. So take like a food brand, for example, what's the big goal for them is to get into as many retailers as possible to get that volume that they need. So like going viral on TikTok in 2024 will help you get into retailers. It will help you get into the big supermarket chain. We just had a brand who went viral all through December and January and is now launched into the UK's biggest supermarket, attributed to that success.
Great. Thanks for those tips. Martin had a question in the chat. I think that dovetails really nicely to my next question. So he asked about how important live shopping is on TikTok Shop. So more generally, what are the different ways to sell on TikTok Shop, and how should brands prioritize what to tackle first?
Yeah, so you have to live in the moment with TikTok. It's a lean in and lean out type of platform. So in today's world, product rules the day. So if you have a product that has potential or can create virality, you want to be focusing a majority of your efforts on that product or that series of products. So currently, right now, the two best ways to sell on the platform are through the affiliate program and UGC and UGC style content. We had the privilege of touring some of the largest operations in China a few months ago. And so we were able to see some insights into Douyin, which is a sister app of TikTok, which is several years more mature. Live shopping is a incredibly large and detailed and meaningful piece of what they do. I would anticipate, I can't be a crystal ball here, but I would anticipate that live shopping is going to become more and more meaningful in the months and years to come. So I would focus right now on content and affiliate, but I would definitely, be spending time on performance marketing and live shopping, and ultimately, how do you get the flywheel to continue to turn holistically?
Yeah, and to Tim's point, there's a million different ways to sell in the platform, and I think a lot of which I haven't even seen brands totally exercise. There's organic, there's affiliate. You can do paid influencer promotions. You can do unpaid, just affiliates. You can do paid media, of course. For us, though, we always advise the same. It's to focus around organic pages, which, by the way, that can be a singular page. It could be multiple that go target market specific, so the algorithm becomes your best friends. And then, of course, affiliate, because these are going to be the most long-term sustainable and profitable lanes. And, for us, paid media, I hear a lot of interest there. And it's something that on discovery calls I hear all the time. It's my recommendation to have this as break glass in case of emergency. It certainly can work, but ultimately, if you turn that on and that becomes your CAC model in TikTok Shop, you're really subjecting yourself to no different than Facebook ads, Amazon, you name it. And the reality of the platform is it might win today, but 2, 3, 4 years from now, when P&G, Coca-Cola come in, like you're not going to have the budget of the backing of Wall Street to fund your advertising here. So I think going for the sustainable approach in organic and affiliate and being really aggressive with it is the way to do it.
I think you totally hit the nail on the head there, Jake. Like, investing in ad spend right up front with the platform is definitely not a necessity. And for a long time, for us operating in the UK, we had a ton of successful merchants that never put in any ad spend. It's a tongue twister for a Scottish guy. But you can be really successful just focusing on affiliates and focusing on amazing content. That's what those brands that I talked about that built themselves up on TikTok Shop did initially. They just came out, they had a great product, like Tim said, and then they had great content, and they really nurtured the relationships with the affiliates on the platform. Affiliates is content creators, by the way, for anyone that's not used the platform. It's just terminology we use as a synonym. So yeah, if you're just starting out on the platform and you want to try different things, then lives is quite a high barrier to entry and quite difficult to get the hang of. You're better working with an expert on that if you have no experience of it. If you just want to get started, then just think about all of the amazing things about your brand and what fun content can you put out that represents it in a way. And then how can you nurture relationships really well with affiliates? And those will be your two biggest drivers of sales initially anyway.
Fantastic. What are some common misconceptions about marketing on TikTok Shop that you often encounter, and how do you address them with the brands?
Yeah, I think this one comes up all the time, right? And not everything needs to be perfect. Not everything needs to be glossy. Not everything needs to be a James Cameron production. Content on the platform needs to be, and I'll continue to say this, unique and authentic and genuine. And sometimes when you try to overproduce things, or you get maybe too many heads in on a project, that it can feel a little inauthentic and unreal. And so I would just, continue to advise that, what are you trying to do here, right? If you're trying to get engagement, are you trying to get sales? Are you trying to make an impact? And guess what? All 3 or 4 of those roads lead back to being authentic and genuine, and it doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah, and I think for us, we hear the expectation around virality, or yeah, hey, I read 3 Business Insider articles of someone who went viral in their kitchen, and we want to do the same. And that level of expectation, it certainly does happen on the platform, but if that's your expectation going into it, you're setting yourself up for failure. Our name is literally Trndstters, which makes things really difficult because we get asked to go viral all the time. It's kind of indicative. And obviously we've done it before, but I can assure you there's no recipe at all. It is just taking a lot of at-bats until you hit a home run. And so I think for brands in here, making sure they have the right expectation and then aligning with true brand objectives. Should top line sales actually be the best goal, or does it make more sense to prioritize top of funnel growth of new customers? Let's prioritize that. And because we want to build a long-term relationship with them and convert them to our recurring revenue model on the site. So thinking about the platform in more unique ways, no different than how many brands do with Amazon. I think thinking through that as opposed to thinking through how do we get the biggest possible sales number is a better way to kind of do your planning.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I've just realized that wearing a grey jumper against a white brick wall does kind of make it look like I'm in prison. This is a business and I'm not in jail, just so everyone knows. I'm going to answer misconceptions, but Jason also put a question in the chat that kind of links to it. So if that's okay, Meg, I'm just going to answer Jason's question as well. So a common misconception on TikTok Shop is that it's just Gen Z buying on there because it is the Gen Z platform. It came from Musical.ly and everyone assumes that that's the case. It's not. It definitely isn't in the UK. I don't know the US stats off the top of my head, but I know they're similar. So in the UK, 50% of the user base is over the age of 30. And one of the biggest buying demographics we have is actually 35 to 45-year-old females who spend a lot of time on the platform. And in the UK, percentage-wise, one of the fastest growing demographics is actually 65 plus. which we think is retirees that have more spare time in their hands and are choosing to spend it on TikTok, because there's content on there for everyone. But there's also commerce on there for everyone as well. So you will see a broad range of buying demographics. Now, Gen Z still is the biggest and still does dominate, but that's changing rapidly and will continue to change as older generations become more adapted to the platform, trust it more. They hear from a friend that like, oh, I bought something on TikTok Shop, it was amazing, I hadn't seen it before. Then they want to try it out. That is the tide turning, and it is happening right now. So if you've still got the misconception that it's just Gen Z, it's definitely not. And that brings me to Jason's question. So he asked, do you see brands' core customers falling into TikTok Shop or two separate customer bases? It's a great question. So it's a bit of both, to be honest. You will see familiar customers, if you've got a big brand that you've launched on the platform, coming there saying how much they love it, but you also will 100% reach a new audience, because of the way that the algorithm works. Is going to test the waters. It's going to push your brand's content out to new people to see if it likes it. And in turn, you're going to build a new customer base, audience base, whatever your objective is from that piece of content.
Before I transition, Xavier had a really good question, which is, when starting a TikTok shop, is it important to have self-made content? So what's that ratio kind of look like? I think that's a really good question for brands that are starting.
Yes, it's important. Ultimately, like it doesn't really matter if you have 100 videos or 10 videos so much on TikTok Shop, right? Obviously, the more pieces of content and the ethos, the better. But just make sure that on your brand handle, you have some content, right? Because when people are shopping, let's say you have an affiliate with a shoppable tag that's selling your product, and a customer wants to go back and look at the brand handle and make sure it's relevant and real, and they jive with it. Yes, it's important to have self-made content.
That was a bit of a curveball, so I came out with that question last minute. But Jake and Ben, if you have any insights, feel free to jump in. Otherwise, want to give an opportunity to shout out some brands that you're working with right now that you think are totally crushing it on the platform, and bonus points if you manage a brand that happens to be working with ShipBob. I know there's a couple of them, but yeah, curious high level, what brands are you seeing that you can really, you'd recommend that other brands emulate their success?
Yeah, I mean, on our end, they're near and dear to our hearts. They've been with us since day one on TikTok Shop US, which for us was something like August of 2022. It's a brand called Kimchi Chic Beauty. It's a brand that came out of an incubator by Tony Ko, who was the founder of NYX Cosmetics, and Kimchi, who was on RuPaul's Drag Race. Kimchi has a wonderful, colorful collection of affordable makeup products. We've had the privilege of working with them in all facets of our business and their business, shop operations, affiliate, short form shoppable content, live streams, and performance marketing. And they're a recipient of virality and halo effect. So TikTok has given them a platform to be able to move into, I think now about 1,800 brick and mortar stores since they started to trend hard on TikTok. It's opened a lot of doors. Wonderful people, incredible to work with, incredible products that fit really well into the TikTok shop ecosystem.
Yeah, there's certainly a few. My favorite brand partner, by the way, I say they're our favorites, and I'll tell anyone that, is a company called Happiest Hour. Incredible company, mixed drink, little terpenes. By the way, the product is ridiculously addicting. It's amazing, and it's a game changer, and my team prefers when I am consuming it. And they have a huge following on the platform. They have more than 1,000 active affiliates every single month. And we even, like, when we ran ads, just cause we saw 20 times ROAS for more than a month. But they're not successful because they have those things. They have those things because at their core, they, as a brand, aligned with TikTok better than anyone I've ever seen. Their co-founding team, they're incredibly genuine, authentic, real. And if you think you're producing authentic content, I promise you, go check out their page. You're not, compared to what they're doing. It's some of the most real content on the platform. They truly care about their customers. And so, there's nothing that we're doing as an agency or levers or strategies we're pulling. Like, anyone in here can do those. The reason you're going to be successful has more to do with what's inside than what's out here. And so that's always my biggest challenge for brands, which is the reality of the situation. If you as a brand are aligned with the platform and with how things operate on the platform, you're going to be successful over here. You're going to figure out the tactics. And we could all sit up here all day and tell you all the tactics. If they're not working for you, it has a lot more, it's going to be more to do with who you are as a brand and how you're approaching it than anything else. And I think that's the case for all the biggest influencers on the platform. Is it they had the best strategy in social media cadence, or were they in their soul just someone who really liked to create dance videos or really liked to create lip sync videos when it was called Musical.ly? Like, that is the case for a lot of the top influencers that are now like celebrity status. And so I think if you want to be a brand, follow that same trajectory. What can we do to change who we are to better fit with the platform?
That's really awesome to hear about both of your success stories, guys. So thanks for sharing that. In the UK, we've had a few since we launched, but the one I want to shout out is a brand that we've been absolutely killing it with recently and have been a wonderful partner to us to work with, which is Warrior Supplements. Keep your eyes peeled because they do have plans to launch in the US later this year, and I think they will be dominating the protein market fairly quickly, or at least attempting to. That was the brand I mentioned earlier that are now in the UK's biggest supermarket chain. They launched only in December on the channel, and they've sold over 45,000 products already in a short space of time. Just for some context, the UK market is about a sixth of the size of the US market as well. So those numbers are just insane, off the charts. And we're delighted to be working with them because I honestly eat one of their protein bars every single day, and I love them. So I'm very genuine about the work that we do with them. And I've even got in some of the content myself, which I know you do as well, Jit. It's just part of the fun of working with brands on TikTok Shop. So yeah, you can check their page out as well. You won't be able to see their shop if you're in the US because it will be blocked. Just like people in the UK can't see US shops, but you can check out their content, etc. Also, just to say, before we sign off, I'm going to pop my link in the chat as well if anyone does want to chat UK market.
Yeah, we're almost at time, but is there anything else, just high level, just quick snippets or kind of key tips that we want to hone in on before we wrap things up? I'll give Tim, Jake, Ben, all of you a minute.
Just do it. This is a moment in time it's never going to be less expensive to gain market share on TikTok Shop. I wish that I would have done this in 2006 or 7 on Amazon instead of waiting till 2015 or 16 to really do it. So I would encourage you to just get out there, create content, go live, do a little more than dip your toes in the water. Cause I think anybody on this call would say that TikTok Shop's for real. But there's nothing to be scared of. Just go do it.
Yeah, I would say I always try to make sure this is the case for myself, and what I would advise for others is like, make sure you're not the guy that writes the article that says the internet is a fad. Like, probably not going to age well. Might get you some attention in the interim, but be careful what you project for the future because there's no way to determine it. But with how the platform is centered and the natural evolution of consumers, it's inevitable that social commerce was going to play a role. And it's only obvious that TikTok Shop appears to be the leader across the board. Social commerce 5-10 years from now, this is going to be uniform everywhere. And I think TikTok Shop is just the trailblazer of it. And so figuring out TikTok Shop should and will bode well for inevitably what the next platform is, because there's going to be the next social media behemoth that launches in the next couple of years as well. And then they'll do the social commerce thing in a different way. And so this is all inevitable. It's great grounds for experimentation, learning, building new audiences, and the upside is well worth the time and energy investment.
Okay, I see the timer counting down quickly now, and the guys put
okay.
it anyway, but
you can go.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, what I'll say is when I was growing up and buying stuff online, it used to be boring. Like, genuinely, it did. It was a little bit exciting, like waiting for a package to come, but the actual method of buying stuff, of like going on to an Amazon product display page, is not all that exciting. Like now, the way that we buy and sell has completely changed. And what I love about TikTok is the reason that we trust the recommendations we get on the platform is we connect with the people that are giving those recommendations. And everyone knows, like, if you're in marketing, sales, or anything at all, the recommendation that you trust most in life is from your friends and family. And now you've got people on TikTok that you've built these relationships with that you trust, whether it's on lives with a presenter, or whether it's through creators. Then you've got these genuine, authentic relationships that give you a recommendation that you know you can trust. And that is an exciting way to shop, I think, than just searching for something on Amazon.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you all for joining. Feel free to go check them out at the virtual booths. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, Ben. This is amazing. And thanks everyone for joining.